On the morning of May 29, 1453, an emperor stood beside the ruined walls of Constantinople. His army was exhausted, his city was surrounded, and the empire he ruled had been reduced to little more than the ground beneath his feet. Constantine XI could still attempt to escape. He could abandon the capital, preserve his life, and continue the fight elsewhere. But the last emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire had already made his decision. If Constantinople was going to die, he would die with it. Constantine had inherited an empire that existed mostly in memory. For centuries, Constantinople had been one of the richest and most powerful cities in the world. Its emperors had ruled across the Mediterranean, the Balkans, and the Middle East. But invasions, civil wars, economic decline, and the disastrous Crusader sack of 1204 had broken Byzantine power. By the time Constantine became emperor in 1449, the empire controlled only Constantinople and a few scattered territories. He wore the crown of Rome. But outside his walls, a younger and far more powerful empire was rising. Across the frontier stood Sultan Mehmed II. He was young, disciplined, ambitious, and determined to take the city that had resisted Ottoman armies before him. Constantinople blocked the connection between Mehmed's territories in Europe and Asia. It was strategically valuable, politically dangerous, and symbolically irresistible. Mehmed prepared carefully. He strengthened his control of the Bosporus, assembled a massive army, gathered ships, and brought enormous cannons capable of battering fortifications that had protected Constantinople for centuries. Constantine understood what was coming. This would not be another raid. Mehmed intended to destroy the last barrier between himself and the city. Before the final destruction, Mehmed offered Constantine a choice: surrender the city, and bloodshed could be avoided. Constantine might be allowed to leave and rule elsewhere. It was the logical decision. The defenders were badly outnumbered, food was running short, help from Western Europe had mostly failed to arrive. Every bombardment weakened the walls further. But Constantine refused to abandon Constantinople. The city was not simply his capital. It was the heart of his empire, the seat of his faith, and the final surviving symbol of a Roman state more than 1,000 years old. An emperor might survive without his city, but Constantine believed he could no longer remain its emperor. The siege began in April 1453. Day after day, Ottoman cannons struck the land walls. When sections collapsed, Constantine's defenders rushed forward at night, filling the gaps with earth, timber, stone, and anything else they could find. Byzantine soldiers fought beside Genoese, Venetians, and other foreign volunteers. They defended the walls, searched for Ottoman tunnels, extinguished fires, and waited for assistance that never came in sufficient numbers. Every surviving day was a small victory, but every day also brought greater exhaustion. Constantine moved among the defenses, organizing men and encouraging soldiers who understood that the walls could not withstand the punishment forever. On May 28th, the Ottoman camp became unusually active. Fires burned outside the walls. Soldiers prepared weapons. Commanders moved into position. Inside Constantinople, the defenders understood what it meant. The final attack was coming. Constantine gathered his commanders and thanked them. Later chronicles preserve a final address in which he called upon them to defend their faith, their families, their city, and one another. That night, he prayed before returning to the walls. There was no rescue army approaching. There was no hidden plan. There was only a damaged city, a few thousand defenders, and the last hours of an empire. Before dawn on May 29th, the Ottoman assault began. Wave after wave moved toward the walls. The first attackers forced the defenders to spend their remaining strength. More experienced troops followed. Then came the Janissaries, Mehmed's elite infantry. For hours, the defenders held, but the walls had already been damaged, and the men protecting them were reaching the edge of collapse. Then Giovanni Giustiniani, one of the defense's most important commanders, was seriously wounded and carried away. His departure damaged morale at the worst possible moment. Ottoman soldiers forced their way through the defenses. The battle for the walls became a battle inside the city. Constantine now faced the decision he had refused to make throughout the siege. He could run, or he could remain emperor until the final moment. Accounts of what happened next disagree in their details. No reliable eyewitness description of his death survived. but most traditions agree on the essential point. Constantine entered the fighting. Later accounts say he removed or discarded signs of his imperial rank so that he would fight as an ordinary soldier. Somewhere near the collapsing defenses, the last Roman emperor disappeared into the battle. He was never seen alive again. There was no surrender ceremony, no peaceful transfer of power. Constantine's reign ended with a sword in his hand and his city falling around him. After the conquest, stories spread about Constantine's body. Some claimed it had been discovered among the dead. Others said it had been recognized by imperial clothing or distinctive equipment. But no identification was ever established beyond serious doubt. The uncertainty transformed Constantine from a defeated ruler into a legend. In later Greek folklore, he became the Marble Emperor, a ruler said not to be dead, but sleeping beneath the city, waiting to return. The historical Constantine did not return, but his final decision ensured that he would be remembered. He could not save Constantinople. He could not restore the empire. He could only decide how its final emperor would face the end. And when escape remained possible, Constantine the Theft stayed. On May 29, 1453, Constantinople fell, but its last emperor refused to leave it behind.